A very good evening good afternoon to you on this very hot Friday. I do hope that it's been kind to you. My name is Nina Shaban and it's All Matters Women. So we continue celebrating women on this Women's Day, which actually falls tomorrow. But we decided here at the Nation Media Group to have the celebrations today at the Muthaiga Country Golf Club. Now, the conversation that I'll be steering on is on the economic empowerment, women driving change and shaping the future, investing in women's futures and the power of collective action and access to capital and resources. My name is Nina Shaban. Let me quickly introduce you to my panelists, our very able panelists, by the way, that I'd prefer to call super women. Now, they include from the Forum CIV, rather Forum CIV. Seated next to me is Chelimo Njoroge. Now, Forum CIV is a Swedish civil society organization that works to promote democracy, human rights and sustainable development. And once again, her name is Chelimo Njoroge. She is the program manager. And farther away from me, from NCBA, now financial services group, including a bank, investment bank, and other subsidiaries. That's what NCBA is, in case you do not know, which I doubt people out there know about NCBA. So with us is Jen Nganga. Jen Nganga is the Deputy Director of Branch Business. Once again, my name is Nina Shaban. We'll be having one more person joining us through the interview from Jubilee Insurance. But since we're already here, let's kickstart our conversation. And I'd like to start off with looking at some few statistics. Now, according to statistics, 38% of women in Kenya are financially literate. Now, out of that 38%, 34% actually have access to financial services. And this is compared to 50% of men who actually have financial services, rather they access financial services. So from where you sit, does this surface? Let's start with you, Chelimo.
This is the definition of gender exclusion. This is the definition of course, the financial exclusion of women. And it's important that we reflect on how we got there, because just the systemic barriers that have brought us here, if they're not addressed, this continues. So if you look at accessing finances, one will need property, for example. For a long time, women did not have access to property. Women did not have property in their names. We have that changing now with the Constitution, ensuring that everyone, all women, can receive property or inherit property same in equal measure as the men. However, this, even with policy in place, it requires a lot of intentionality to address the systemic barriers that we have and appreciate that this must be broken for us to have women not only literate in financial matters, but also have equal access to financial resources. And I would say what we are seeing now as a backdrop of this is that women are not able to then access even political positions, because the politics in Kenya, you need to have a little something in your pocket to persuade the voters to vote for you. So financial exclusion, as it is today, has excluded women in empowerment, in economic spaces. It has excluded women in leadership, in politics, and even access to the basic needs. And this is then important that it is addressed systemically.
Well, Jen, sitting at the forefront of financial services, 34% of women actually have access to financial services, vis-a-vis 50% of men. What are your sentiments on this?
Thank you, Nina. I am actually an advocate of women empowerment. And maybe that's why I've been in the banking industry for over 30 years, because I feel that is my space. And from where I sit, I would not say that is sufficient. I think it is time, and thanks goodness that the policies that we have in place, the legal frameworks that have been set, are now allowing women to find their space, not only in accessing finances, but also to have a voice and have a seat at the table, just as good as men. And this has been achieved, and we'll continue pushing for this to be achieved, whether it is through education, supporting women entrepreneurs, just to ensure that our women get to have an equal say, not only in finances, but even like Chelimo has said, ownership of property, it has been a struggle. Sometimes you'll find that women put in so much, but end up getting very little. So it is time that we supported our women, those who are in a position to do so, the organizations that are in a position to do so, they should go ahead. And looking at NCBA, we have done a great job. When it comes to the workforce at NCBA Bank, we are a split of 50-50. And this is achieved right from the bottom to the end. Like you have said, I am in charge of the branch network, 99 branches, with over 1,000 people. And anytime I'm opening a new branch, I ensure if a branch is supposed to be resourced with 10 people, 5 have to be men, 5 have to be women. And it doesn't stop there. If, for example, the branch manager is a woman, I will make sure the deputy branch manager, whom we call branch operations manager, is a man, and vice versa.
With that, with your answer, Jen, I think that ushers us into the next question, which is the power of collective action. So when it comes to the power of collective action, Chelimo, what would you say the society needs to learn or unlearn? That way women can take up their rightful positions or fill in the space in the society?
Thank you for that. And I reflect that the key thing that we need to unlearn is that financial inclusion for women is not supplementary. It is not just for affirmative action, it's essential. And it also reflects on the importance of women in our economy and how much women contribute to our economy. We need to appreciate that we are here because of the women that went ahead. There are women that crawled so that some could walk. There are those that walked so that we ran, and we are here today because of them. So we must keep running so that others that come behind us fly. And that then speaks into coming together, the collective action, that we should not leave any girl, any woman behind in this push for financial inclusion, for gender equality. And one of the things that we need to learn is that this is not a women's journey. This, when we talk about collective action, this is a journey that we need to walk together. This is a men, this is a women journey. This is a human race journey. That it should not be seen that gender equality, hence women rights, it's for women, maneno ya mama, no. Unless we walk this journey together and appreciate that if women do not achieve, don't progress, human race generally lags behind, then it negates our move, generally moving forward together. So we need to learn that we need to have not just the women at the forefront, but alongside male champions that walk this gender equality champion with us, gender equity journey with us, and that then allows for, a collective moving together in terms of collective action for gender equality.
Now, just to give our audience some kind of example of what exactly we're talking about, before I check into the next question with you, Jane, when we say that women do not have access to finance, or when we take it back to matters, we do not, you'll find women do not even have land. It goes back to the fact that we come from a society where we're still African, we're still very cultural. So back in the day, our mothers, parents or grandparents were given, when a grandparent passes away, or when there's a will being written, that will is written with the son, or the men in that family are the ones who end up with inheritance, while women do not end up with inheritance. And that's why when a woman walks into a bank, like where Jane is, asking for, when the bank asks for collateral, it hinders every plan that this woman has when it comes to the plans of maybe having a business running. So, Jane, which are some of these innovative ways that can help women access credit without the stress of looking for security?
Thank you, Nina. Actually, I think the society has gone ahead and started to appreciate that what a man can do, a woman can do, and probably do it even better. And if you look at the statistics, you will learn that women have come up so strong when it comes to matters of finance. They are better savers, and when you give them loans, they are better payers. I think we do not like tarnishing our names, and therefore, I may not have the real statistics, but when it comes to CRB report, which is one of the tools that we rely on to measure your credibility, most women have very clean CRB report. Now, as a bank, and I will be so specific to NCBA, we have looked at various ways of supporting women. And we have really leveraged on technology. And what we are doing, we use technology to help rate our customers. And most recently, we've come up with a product called Lending for All. Just giving your name is the system, and the system will rate you. And using that, you'll just go into our digital app, apply for a loan, and you get it instantly. This, from the feedback we have gotten from our customer, is making great changes in the economy. Other than that, I'm sure we all know M-Shwari. I would be surprised to hear that there's one person who does not know M-Shwari or has not experienced it. We are the people behind M-Shwari, and CBA is behind M-Shwari. This is one of those products that has really hit the market big and has gone ahead to support women. If you allow me, I'll give you one example of a customer I started with like 5 years ago. She started as what we call small enterprise, SME. And what you do, okay, probably Mikorahama Maboga, for clarity. She'd go to Wakulima market in the morning, maybe get 1 or 2 gunias of potatoes. When we educated her about M-Shwari, what she does, she'll wake up in the morning, at 3 a.m. she's at Marikiti, 4 a.m. she'll go into the app, get her 5,000, get her 2 gunias of potato, go to Kikuyu where she sells her wares, and by the end of the day, she has made her profit, she has paid back her M-Shwari, and she continues doing that. And that has come in handy for so many of them.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. And with that said, which is very fair, women, you've clearly given us a whole record of how a woman will wake up early in the morning and Marikiti, you know, does her, gets her goods, goes and sells and pays back. Yeah. It really defines how women are good savers and good payers. Sindio? Lakini, how come basi, when it comes to even financial institutions, and I'm not attacking Eugene at all, but how comes when it comes to financial institutions or even rights, women being payers and good savers, still organizations do not lean towards them when it comes to products, especially from a financial point of view. Would you have any sentiments on that, Chalemo?
It's very, very interesting because those are two very different sides of the coin. We see, and it's in many fronts, we will hear people saying that if you trust women with leadership of even a small chama or even in the institution, they will do a great job. But then when it comes to actually according them that opportunity to lead or to access finances, there's still, and that's, I'm going back to the statement, there's still some barriers that are very systemic. And this is because we live in a patriarchal society. What I want to appreciate is that we have made progress. We have made a lot of progress to see women accessing services that were deemed predominant male. And because of the systemic barriers that we see in our country, it takes time. It takes time to get there. Women will, generally society will appreciate women in the spaces that they are, they lead or they provide different services, but they still have to fight tooth and nail to actually be accorded the opportunities to do that. So I reflect that this is definitely because of coming from a very patriarchal society, having some of the systemic issues that we see in our country. And I will reflect on what we do at FOAMSIF, because we provide organizations marginalized organizations that are working in marginalized communities, resources, finances to implement some of the projects in there. And we have been very intentional to identify women-founded, women-led organizations in these marginalized areas to provide funding for them to then continue to push the agenda, especially on gender equality, among other key issues forward. Because if we don't intentionally do that and have it as an open slate where this is competitive, then what that does, because of just a society where women have been seen for a long time as secondary, so they see themselves as secondary, then they will not intentionally, they could not, let me not say they will not, they could not intentionally compete for these opportunities. So I see progress, but I have to say that because of where we are as a society, there's still a lot of the barriers that we need to break to move beyond the patriarchy that is in our society today.
Yeah, Nina, I can say confidently that we are not where we were 5 years ago. We have made significant strides, especially when it comes to empowering women financially. As NCBA, we have made very deliberate efforts and ensured that our women are getting all the support that they need. We have identified women entrepreneurs and we have partnered with them in different ways. There's something we call social capital, which I would not want people to ignore. One of the things that has come in so handy when it comes to empowering our women entrepreneurs is where we put women, all same-minded women together. Maybe call them for breakfast, all dinner, put them in a room, and then they share their experiences. And from that, those who are starters will learn from those who have done it and have succeeded. Let me give you an example. This week I've been in Eldoret, and one of our clients, whom we have grown with right from when she set up her small company, which she set from her house. She's now one of the big exporters, chili exporters in this company. And what she has done is she has gone ahead and identified a gap, a knowledge gap in people who have resources, but they do not know how to utilize them. And therefore, she has reached out unto us, SNCBA. She's ready and willing to train women from her area, that whole area of Eldoret. However, these are women who have chunks of land, but they do not have the know-how, and they may not have the money to go and do the training, because for them to get to the level whereby they are going into agriculture, planting maybe the chili or the vegetables, the local vegetables that she's exporting, and she tells me she does not have enough suppliers. So what are we doing as a bank? We are going to support those women to come from wherever they are and learn at our cost. And then we shall set them free to go and do the farming with the support. She's called Margaret, and I have her permission to mention her name. She is the CEO of Maize Foods. She's doing a great job. And she has volunteered to help women from her area to get maybe not to the level where she is, but to start somewhere. And she's more than ready and willing to buy all the produce that they will be able to produce, export, and give them what is theirs. And as a bank, we will work with them. We will support them when it comes to being educated. And you see, this is not only about financial inclusion. Look at what has happened in the last few years. How many women were sitting in boards? Very few. But you see the legal frameworks that have been set in this country, and especially if we were to go back to the 2010 Constitution, the 1/3 rule, so many women have found their place in boards in senior leaderships, and you see, their voice can be heard, and they are able to talk, and they're able to uplift those who are coming up. Yes, thank you.
Say that we are not where we, even if we're not where we want to be at the moment, we are happy that we are not where we came from.
Yes.
Correct.
We've made progress.
All right, correct. So let's just take a very quick break, and we shall be back with more.
Get ready to tantalize your taste buds and embark on a culinary journey with Pishi Bomba, the ultimate cooking show that brings the flavors of the world right into your living room. Tune in this Sunday at 6:30 p.m. with me, Claire Karatu, for a mouth-watering adventure.
This week on Cars with Big Boy Trev, BF Goodrich unveils the K03 off-road tire for the Kenyan market. And finally, we check out BYD's electric hatchback, the Dolphin. We check out its styling, performance, practicality, safety, and of course give you a value for money analysis as to why this could be your next electric hatchback. Catch this and much, much more on your Cars with Big Boy Trev this Sunday at 5 p.m. only on NTV.
Mark your calendar on Saturday, 8th March 2025. Join us at Tomboya University, Homa Bay County for the official celebration of International Women's Day. This year's theme, Accelerate Action for All Women and Girls. Rights, Equality, Empowerment. Calls for bold action to advance gender equality, empower women with a focus on the rights, and foster inclusive development. Hosted by the Governor of Homa Bay County, Her Excellency Gladys Wanga, EGH, and the Principal Secretary for Gender and Affirmative Action, Ms. Anne Wangombe. This event will bring together leaders, partners, and communities to champion women's empowerment, highlight achievements, and set the agenda for a more equitable future. Tune in live from 11 a.m. to 1 p.m. on NTV and across social media platforms as we celebrate strength, resilience, and achievements of women. Together, let's invest in women, break barriers, and accelerate progress for all.
I think we've seen the interest rates come down very, very sharply. And for us, we expect that to stimulate economic activity in the country. I think what also helps with the macro environment is we are seeing an environment where there's predictability, especially in the exchange rates. As the tariffs are being formed between other jurisdictions across the globe, we may not be the targets as it is currently in terms of that, and if anything, probably we'll see those kind of trade agreements come more in line and actually flourish. The key focus of that is just to make sure that the retail consumer and the retail interests are actually taken care of from a solutioning perspective.
Stay in the game with Sport On. Catch exclusive interviews with top sports personalities on the interviews of the day.
To smile and enjoy running.
Updates on happenings in different sports fields across Kenya and around the world. And trending moments on the timeline. Relive the action with our recap of the weekend. And don't forget the shot of the weekend. Highlighting the most epic play. Sport On, your weekly dose of sports entertainment. Every Monday night at 9:30 p.m. on NTV.
Welcome back. If you're just joining us, we all continue to talk about All Matters Women as we celebrate International Women's Day, which falls on the 8th of March, which is tomorrow. But here at NMG, we decided to do it differently, celebrate it on the 7th, this Friday. Now, we left off with a conversation with both Chelimo from Forum Civ and Jane from NCBA. Joining us on set is Caroline Ndungu from Jubilee Insurance. Let me just introduce you real quick. So Jubilee Insurance, as you all know, is an insurance company in Kenya and East Africa. It is part of Jubilee Holdings Limited, a multinational insurance company. And Caroline Ndungu, who joins us, is the group of head marketing. So, Caroline, for the purposes of at least our viewers getting to hear your voice, let me just jump right into it. It's been nearly 3 decades since the Beijing Platform for Action was adopted in 1995. When we look at women's economic empowerment, how far have we really come?
Thank you for that, Nina. And first, let me say thank you for having us here. It's a real honor and a privilege. And also, I'd like to mention that about 2 weeks ago, I actually had dinner with the women that started this movement. So Zipporah Kitoni was a guest of honor at Ignite Her, a women's event that was held about 2 weeks ago, as well as Dr. Julia Ojambo. And it was such a privilege to listen and to hear from them from the perspective of when it all started. You know, the stories that they tell are very, like, for example, Julia, when she talks about her MP journey, there were no toilets for women in Parliament. Within the documentation, there was no she. Everything was he. So listening to her at age 91, completely lucid, completely present, as well as Zipporah, it was truly great to see those forerunners. And for them, because they actually were reflecting on how far we've come from since Beijing, a lot of acknowledgement about the advancements that have been made. For sure, we know we've closed the gender parity gap quite significantly. I think now we're standing at approximately 69% in gender parity. There's been a lot more representation, both politically, economically. But they were also not happy. They were also not happy with the progress that had been made, which was very interesting. So yes, they acknowledged the advancement in matters politics, in matters corporate, but they were saying that we're taking too long, and we're taking too long to take our space. And it was almost like listening to them in the time when they were fighting for equality, as if it was still just as present. And so for me, I think it is true that we've come a long way. Women, and such as myself, and the women here today, are enjoying a lot more. We can't imagine a space where she, in fact, now is, not mentioned in documentation. And, the opportunities that have been presented in terms of C-suite, in terms of politics, in terms of economic empowerment, I think, we are beneficiaries. But as it's said, it's going to take us 131 years at the current rate to close the gap. So 131 years is a long time. And so clearly we need to do things differently. We need to move faster.
It's funny you say that, because do you know that women have been the biggest victims of informalization of the economy, with several studies showing that there are women in not only Kenya but across the globe who actually still work without pay. So we've talked about what the society needs to do to actually accommodate women into this space. But now, as a woman, what advice do you have? As a woman, you need to believe in yourself. You need to believe in your academics, whatever it is that you have. You need to have more confidence in you to feel like you deserve. So, informalization, once again, many women are working without pay, or what they do not deserve. What do you have to say about this, Chelimo?
So this, and especially when you look at unpaid care work, is very invisible, and in many ways it is undervalued. And this reflects on women that are caring for their children at home and contributing to their household very significantly, but not seen as work. And we have seen this across, where there will be women, if it's in the informal sector, if it is in the rural areas, the contribution to the economy to the family is very significant, but because it is care work, it is not seen as work. It is not valued, it is not quantified, and this has been a major contributor to women lagging behind in the financial conversation and economic spaces. And one of the things that we need to keep pushing is for not only distribution of burden, because I think that's important, but also policies that recognize care work and is able to tangibly quantify it and really recognize that it is not, there is beyond financial contribution to the family, that unpaid care work, as just one example, is very significant, and women have contributed significantly then to the economy, because without this, then even their male counterparts that they then take care of are not able to progress and do what they're doing if they did not have this support. But there are many perspectives. That's just one that I think is important to note.
All right. Jane, Caroline, 2025, there's still women who are working with no pay, or they're not being paid what they deserve. Go ahead.
Yeah, looking at it, sometimes I would think it is about the policies and legal frameworks that we were using as a country. And not just as Kenya, because you have said it is globally, and I believe it is. But now looking at what has been laid down, I think we have fairer policies that can help women get their space at the table. And even if you are that woman who does not have a white-collar job, you are back there at home farming and taking care of the children, your effort should be recognized as such. Because left by itself, human beings are hard to change. There's still that belief that women are lesser beings and they're the ones who are supposed to do the heavy manual work, which ends up not in having much pay. So we should step in and take affirmative action as leaders, as women, and support those who are upcoming. Support them in, taking their ideas up, because there are women out there who have great ideas in matters entrepreneurship. They start business and they thrive and they go all the way. Looking at some of the things we do in the bank, for those women who have been very disadvantaged because they do not have, like what we started with, security, we have something we call AGF, African Guarantee Fund, where you will come, you want to access facility, we will reach out. And there's also something we call AFAWA. AFAWA came up as a Pan-African action following a study that was done, and it showed that we had a 42 billion gap that women were facing in comparison to men when it came to access of funds. And using that, AFAWA means African Finance, affirmative action, affirmative finance action for women in Africa. And as NCBA, we use that a lot to de-risk the women that we are helping access funds. So you'll not come and we tell you because you do not have security that we will not give you a loan. We will reach out and we'll help you apply and show you how to go about it so that then we are able to support you. And as women, we should be strong enough, support each other. And if you have a position, always remember, it is not a favor. You are there because you deserve to be there. Because when it comes to productivity, we are equally good. Thank you.
I think on that one, I was very heartened by what I think the Supreme Court Justice Joki Dongo the other day, when they were talking about in the event of divorce. There's a whole discussion about the contribution you make in the marriage should be considered when now you're parting and you're dividing assets. And she was very articulate about what a woman's contribution is. So yes, it's true that the man may have brought money, but taking care of children, actually giving birth to them, taking care of the family, basically keeping things together from a home front is something that she was very very strong about as a contribution that will be computed, so that when we get into that situation, which nobody wants to, but life is what it is, that if my contribution as a woman will not be discounted because I didn't bring money, yet I was the enabler of everything else that has brought us as a family to where we are. And I really just have to say that it shocks me every single time when we say, when the perception is that women are like lesser than, yet they're the carriers of life, they're the nurturers of life, how did we get to this position where the human being that is at the center of humanity is suddenly, relegated to the, how? It feels like there's something very wrong there that went wrong spiritually even, because this just doesn't make any sense. Yeah.
There's a question that I asked both Chelimo and Jane before you joined us, and this is in regards to women have been known to be better savers when it comes to financial savings, yeah, and then also they're very good at paying their loans. They're better payers. So, but somehow, firms, be it insurance firms, be it financial institutions, they do not lean, the products don't lean towards women. So from where you sit, why do you think it's so?
I think it's just part of that conspiracy I'm talking about. Because, for example, if you think about inheritance, which is one of the ways in which people acquire property, women have not necessarily favored it goes through the patriarchy. So, land and what have you is being passed on from father to sons and so forth and so forth. So already you're starting from a societal, cultural perspective that is a bit skewed. And then, of course, that's augmented. Education, when people are making choices for education, if there's not enough money, we educate the boy and leave the girl out. So, of course, already she's now coming with a back-footed. Expectations, societally, you're not expected to want to be the MD of SpaceX. I don't know. No one is asking those sort of things for you. They're saying, your biggest thing is to get married and have children. So the setup, it's almost like it's stacking up to the point of now when time comes for you to want to achieve your ambitions or to grow, you just don't have the resources, you don't have the wherewithal. So I think for me, it's heartening to hear things like what Jane has said about these funds that are coming into play to support women in accessing financing, because that's exactly what we need. When we say accelerate action, this is action. It's not just a motherhood statement. It's actually something that says, let's put money where our mouth is. At Jubilee, for example, we have the Lipa Pole Pole, which is a way of enabling young mothers or families access health insurance, by the Lipa Pole Pole, which is another way of empowering people, empowering women, empowering families. So it's about as we innovate, as we create products, we should create with the mindset of how will this be accessible to a woman who does not have the typical security or collateral that her fellow men have.
Yeah. I hear you. Chelimo, Forum CIV works to strengthen civil society, right? Mm-hmm. And promote gender equality. And from your experience, what are the structural barriers that still prevent women from accessing economic opportunities?
There are very many deep-rooted structural barriers that then women have to, jump hurdles to access the opportunities that are there. So if you look at schooling, for example, and then I think Carol had said it very well, that if money was the issue, then one gender was usually prioritized in many cultures, in many communities. And that then leaves the woman catching up to the men that have already received the education and have, of course, then taken off. Then comes other barriers. They've gone to school. If in the case that they get pregnant because of how society is now, then they bear the consequence of staying back as the male counterparts move forward. If it is a family that is not well-resourced and they are not able to afford sanitary towels, it means that there's a girl that misses at least 75 days of schooling in a year. So systemic and structural barriers that hinder women from accessing just equal opportunities to men, leave alone financial inclusion, economic opportunities, are grave, and there are many. And in many times, we will find women from when they're girls catching up with their male counterparts. So when we see the efforts of affirmative action, these are key because then it allows women to find a higher footing in accessing the opportunities that are available. And then allow me to also reflect on how then it is even in the civil society sector, where right now the funding instruments, funding mechanisms have really changed, even with new policies that are coming from many of the developed countries that provide funding to Kenya and other developing countries. And with that, we see small organizations, women-founded organizations, even having less opportunities to access funds to continue running the work that the organizations are doing. And what we have done then at Forum Civ is to understand that women-founded organizations, then it's instrumental that we ensure that women-funded organizations receive funding that allows them to address these structural barriers, these very systemic barriers that address women. Because believe it or not, we should, of course, we know this. Women understand where the shoe hurts. If it is issues to address the situation that I mentioned around girls and women, when a woman, and these powerful women are in leadership positions, they know where they know how to lift the other woman up. So Forum Civ providing financial support to women-led, women-founded organizations in these marginalized communities, those organizations that might not receive money from these big agencies, then allows them to continuously break these structural barriers and allow women and girls not to be left behind.
All right, so ladies, as we wind up our conversation right here, because our time is almost up, I'd like to know, how do we ensure, because many conversations like this are had across the board and across the world, so I'd like to know, how do we implement everything that we have just spoken about here? And we're talking about collection of, what is it called? We're looking at collective action, right? So how do we ensure that the conversation does not end here? We've said so many good things, so many powerful things. How do we implement each and everything after, when close to 5 p.m. and we're done with this conversation? I'll start off with you, Caroline.
Okay. I think the first thing, I just want to latch onto something here. You said about, you know, when the child is had, the woman is held back to take care of the family and whatnot, and the man advances. And it is true. And for most cadres of society, that will definitely disadvantage the woman. But I also want to say that there's ways in which now we can use the new world order to enable women to still be mothers, because I want to be a mother. I want to be around my children. I don't want to hand them over to somebody else. But that doesn't mean I can't make a contribution, because in the world of work, we have now there's remote working, virtual facilities. I can have meetings. I can do most anything in a different way from the way it was done in the past. So let's embrace the new world order in terms of enabling, utilizing that technology to enable us to still make a contribution and not necessarily be tied up by driving to work. Yeah, I think that's the one thing I'd say. The other thing is that what's really exciting for me is that the feminine side of a woman is now being embraced as the new way of leadership. You know, empathy, our ability to connect, intuition. These are the things that are being lauded in these days of leadership. Yeah, this is now the new catchwords of, empathetic leader. I don't know what. Yeah, and why is that? Why that is because of how we are built. We are built, if you think about a woman pregnant or with babies, she can't fight or flight. Those things are not available to her. Yeah, she has these babies who she must rustle over. Or what does that mean then? She learns. She has a different way of doing things, which is she learns. She negotiates. She knows how to, Lisa Ball and fix it. And those skills are the skills that then will take us away from this crazy world that we're living in, where everybody's chest thumping and, because they're fighting or flighting, yeah? So I think embracing our femininity in that aspect, both as carers and what is deeply innate in us in terms of the way we are built, is really going to go a long way in enabling those things to happen. But gender-based quotas, soft quotas, requiring action, spotlighting good behavior in terms of corporates, penalizing bad behavior. So, for example, tenders, if you do not have a certain percentage, you're marked down. These are the sort of things that will accelerate action. We really do need to put some bullet points at what are you going to do for real that will cause a corporate or a society to start paying attention to women.
And thanks, Caroline. Jane?
Yes, thanks, Nina. Just picking it from where Caroline has left, I would say, as a woman, you need to identify who you are, identify your space, and then step back and ask yourself, what can I do to support that young woman? If it is in the corporate world, how many young women can you mentor? At NCBA, we have been very intentional. The entire top leadership team has been taken through a whole training on mentorship, on coaching, and thereafter, each one of us has identified a group of young ladies to mentor. How does this help? This will help in ensuring that these conversations don't end up here. The other thing we do, not only in your organization, you can look out there. We have chamas. You can volunteer yourself. If you are as solid as I am in banking, there's so much. And by the way, when I go to give those talks, and I give them for free. For free, yeah. If you are out there and you need a financial talk, I am right here and I will do it for your chama. And why do we do this? Is to ensure continuity. And when you talk to these ladies, you get surprised at the information you take for granted and think that everybody knows and is aware. They are not. So we really need to mentor each other. We really need to embrace training, and especially when it comes to leadership. Organizations should take their women, not just women, maybe their top leadership team and middle and down there for training so that they also get to learn and see how they can plug into the community. Yeah.
Foreign Serve.
Right, so
Shalima?
I'll take you up on that. I know my Damali Chama women are following this conversation. So let me pick it from our theme, Accelerate Action. And it recognizes that though we have made a lot of strides in gender equality, this is not the time to slow down. So it cannot be this conversation cannot be it. We need to take very bold actions in ensuring that no one girl, no one woman is left behind in the conversation of gender equality. So for me, it will be for everyone who is working with gender equality, for those that are working or investing in gender equality, to keep doing that. For the women here, for what we're doing at Forum Civ, let's take the space, let's keep going for and pushing for gender equality. And most importantly, do not wait to be invited in spaces. Take up the spaces and ensure that our voices are continuously heard, not only in economic empowerment conversation, but even in safety at a time where femicide is on the rise, because all this then affects the economy of this country. Let's take up spaces, let's be there and hold one another. There's a lot of progress we will make when we come together and unite, not just as women, but as humankind.
As a society, even, yeah? All right, thank you so much, ladies. We are a bit short of time. I wanted to come back to you and ask, who are you wishing happy International Women's Day? But we'll have to do that off camera. They're telling us we need to happy International Women's Day, exactly. So thank you so much for giving us your time. The conversation was on economic empowerment, women driving change and shaping the future, investing in women's futures, and the power of collective action and access to capital and resources. Farthest away from me is Caroline Ndongo, who is the Group Head Marketing at Jubilee Insurance. Thank you so much. And then we we have Jen Nganga, who's the Deputy Director of Branch Business at NCBA. Thank you, my dear. And lastly, close to me is from Forum Sieve, and this is Chalimon Joroge, who is a Program Manager there. My name is Nina Shaban. It was definitely an honor to host this particular conversation, and I'd like to wish all women out there, from my panelists and I, we wish you all a happy International Women's Day. Thank you.
Thank you.